Hey guys, Chapadong here, Monday morning, June 21st, and it's time for MLB Made Easy, and I apologize for being a little bit late to the party today. I've been busy working on, graphics and some marketing coverage for the three, count them, one, two, three, $100,000 winners that we had yesterday alone on Father's Day. What was it? PGA, NASCAR, and an NBA showdown. All $300,000 winners new to the Army. So it works. What we talk about definitely works, and what we're going to talk about today is MLB DFS. So while I dive in and haven't looked at anything, this is literally the first time I've opened up our research station for the day. And I'm going to blow through our routine as quickly as possible. So if you like the video, please give it a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel, do that. And always consider becoming a VIP at DFS Army, where we unlock all of those sports where we've won $100,000, and then other sports like MLB that you're watching today. Right there in the description of this video, click that link, use coupon code CHOP CHOP for a 10% off discount to becoming a VIP, and get in here. Start asking us questions. Start becoming a better player right now. But before you do that, I guess we'll dive in. We'll do a little routine here. I always go to the Fanduel Pitchers tab first. It's just what I like to do. There are no early games today, which is a good thing. At least to my knowledge. They're all 7:05 starts or after, so that's a good thing. I don't even know how many games are on this slate. Don't care. I'm going to automatically go to the chop shop and sort Z to A, bring the big numbers to the top. And like yesterday was a wide open tournament slate for the main. Bunch of crappy pitchers. Did not have a single pitcher over a 500K score, and it looks like tonight's going to be much more of the same. When the 505 is the green number and the best on the slate, it's not really the best. These guys are vulnerable. They're not outstanding. They can have great nights, don't get me wrong. It is a good number, and it is the best that the slate offers. But look, you got 5 guys over a 486 before we finally drop off to a 460. So when I'm looking at price points, I'm going to look at Merrill Kelly for a tournament. People are going to laugh at that number, but I'm going to look at him. He has the highest W score, so he's definitely risky, but he's cheap. I'm going to look at some of these other guys too, because there's just not much of a difference between a Yu Darvish and a Miley. The difference is $1,200 because the K score is the same. The matchup is very, very similar, and that's not much of a drop off from Urias in LA, and not much of a drop off from even Merrill Kelly. And it's a $3,800 savings from Darvish to Kelly. I'll take the $3,800 and I'll go buy some flipping bats. I'm not going to do that in a cash game. I'm talking about tournaments. I'm talking about maybe some events, some contests where you're going to want to run some risk, maybe even 100-man leagues or 20-man leagues, something like that. Those kinds of things, that's fine. It's perfectly acceptable. And you'll find people that laugh at you and think you're stupid, but that's okay. You laugh at them all the way to the bank when you win the money at the end on the nights that your way does work out. The cash pitcher, we'll go ahead and find him. I'll open up the domination station here in a second. We'll find a cash pitcher. He's easy. It's going to be one of these top guys. But now that said, these are the guys that I'm focused on for my pitching tonight. I don't care about much else. I'm certainly not going to play these guys way down here. But for guys that I'm going to stack against, I flip it on its head and take the W score and sort that Z-Day and bring those big dogs to the top. These are the guys I'm going to stack against because these guys have bad WOBA matchups. They've got an offense coming into them with a little bit of thump, and they are having trouble getting people out. Merrill Kelly lands on both lists, which makes him a perfect tournament play. If you get a little lucky and he has a good night, you've probably got him all to yourself. But we also are going to look at Arizona bats, Houston bats, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Texas type bats. Let me jump back over here really quick. Come down to about the 650 barrier. I mean, if you came down in here, you're getting a little low, but somewhere 650 and above. So it's top 4 teams. These are going to be the key stacks, in my opinion, tonight, barring any other chalky number or chasing something, like a home run per 9 or some kind of a BVP narrative. You got some guys down here like Alzolay and even Odorizzi that have had a little bit of trouble in giving up the home run, so you might want to stack against them as well. They're certainly in play. Those offenses are certainly in play. And if you're laughing at me and saying this isn't all that scientific, it doesn't have to be. That's the beauty of it. This system is very, very quick. In and out, done and done. And it has, if not equal fighting chances to anybody else's, it has better chances because we're not overthinking anything. We're just diving in. I'm going to look at the trends tab here for the hitters. I won't go into the pitching tab today, but I will probably at some point this week. We're going to come over here and we're going to take these WOBA trends and we're going to chop these guys down a little bit. We're going to look at who do we want to see in most of our lineups tonight. Where, oh, where is my greater than or equal than? Well, I'm just going to have to custom filter that guy. And I'm going to have to greater than or equal myself. Greater than or equal to 0.400. That's the number I'm looking at. So you got to be able to know these tools backwards and forwards so you can kind of zig and zag on the fly when you need to. If it's going to not give me a greater than here, I'll just again go custom filter, and then I'm going to come down to greater than or equal to, and on the WOBUS or the ISO side, we do 200. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bang. List's a little bit big for a slate like today, so let's cut that down just a smidge. Go custom filter again, and we'll go 0.425. And boop, see how it shrunk a little bit? We'll run with that. These are the guys that I'm looking for. It's going to be between 20 and 40 names, most likely. I sort those A to Z, bring these teams to the top. So I see 3 Atlanta bats, 2 Baltimore bats, a Cleveland, 4 Houston bats. Going to like me some Houston tonight. You better like them yourself. A couple of Minnesotas, a couple of Mets, a couple of, and then 4. If you can make it work, you don't even have to do any research to say Atlanta, Houston, and San Diego are probably in decent positions, even though they're facing some nasty, nasty pitching. I'm not going up against Jacob deGrom, so I'll take those Atlanta guys and I'll probably scrap them. But Houston and San Diego, even against Urias, I won't be surprised. And if I'm in a big, large field tournament like the Nickel or something like that, I'm going to definitely consider it, because to beat 150,000 people, you're going to have to get freaky deaky in order to make it work. I won't maybe put the bulk of my shares there, but I'm going to put some of them there for sure, because it's baseball. Weird crap happens. But these are the bats that I'm definitely going to adore in our optimizer system, and I'm going to bring them to the top so that I get more of them in my lineups. If I'm not using, say a Atlanta stack because of deGrom, and I ended up with a one-off of the red hot Acuna, I think that's a sharp play. Nobody's going to do it. He's going to be way lower owned than he needs to be tonight. So you need to consider that type of stuff if you're going to win these tournaments and you're really going to dig in. Checking the optimizer, the domination station. Let's kick this baby back over to Fanduel. We'll do both. Why not? And I'm going to look at the main slate, and I'm going to sort by ownership. Because again, I mean, we had that done in like 6 minutes. I'm going to projected ownership, sort that through, and I'm going to look at the pitchers. And I'm going to say Yu Darvish at 24% when the drop-off is 15, 11, 11. Yu Darvish is probably your chalk game pitcher. Montas isn't terrible, but Yu Darvish is probably the chalk game pitcher. People are going to be spending up for that. So in tournaments, I would probably have some Dodger stacks. It's what, a 6 or 7 game slate tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Small enough that the options kind of get pigeonholed, and they're going to all go in strong ownership directions, which give you more leverage when you go against something like this. Okay? So use a Urias if you want to, and then stack against Darvish and hope it works out for you. Is it going to work out for you every time? No, of course not. Of course not. But you don't need to be right every time. You shouldn't be playing these tournaments to min cash every night and turn, $7.50 in nickels to $10. That shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be to be wrong a lot, because on the times that you're right all alone at the top of the leaderboard, and you're turning, $7.50 into $300. That's how you're going to win this game. It's a little bit different thinking, and it's a little hard to get used to if you're a more conservative type of person, or maybe a little bit risk averse, but you have to make that shift, and you have to become that type of a thinker if you want to do well in DFS long term. That's just the way the game is played these days. End of story. If you can't do that, you need to stick to 50-50s and cash games and things like that, where you eat this chalk and then you don't care about it. Because if I was going to play in a cash game, I may consider pivoting off of Darvish because of the K score and the numbers that I showed you and the price savings that we get for an equal matchup. But if I was just going to play strictly an ownership game, which I do play as well, I would just eat Darvish and move on. Another neat little tool that we probably will have time to get into is the chalkboard. I'll show you that little guy. But this is what I'm also going to do. I'm going to jump over here on a Draftkings, and we're going to see who the 2 chalky pitchers are over there. I mean, why not? Set those cash games up right. Start with the pitching in a cash game, because it's the most consistent source of points. And when I shift that sort by ownership projections and I kick onto these pitchers, I see that Houston's going to be popular already. There's Darvish and Montas. So I told you, Darvish and Montas, you might sub in a little Urias. Maybe a little Alzolay is going to get some love. Look at all the pitchers getting love on this smaller slate. This is a fairly wide open. There's no other than Yu Darvish. There's not a ton of super crazy ownership being had. And I don't see the Mets on this slate. I don't know where the Mets came from on that other. Maybe they're not on this particular slate. But I don't know what the deGrom thing was. I'd have to go back and double check. Like I said, that was the very first I've opened this up all day. And I don't need a lot to already get an idea of where I'm going to go tonight, okay? But if I was going to build by ownerships, let's say that I was going to play Fanduel, and I look at Yu Darvish as the chalk pitcher again at 24%, and I look over here at Montas at 15, and some of these guys are my pivots. This is probably my cash game pitcher. Now, I already told you I would play some Urias or something like that. I'm not afraid to do that. Molly, I'm not afraid to do that. Take a little bit lower ownership there in order to get the same quality matchup for less price. This is the type of night I would do that on. But if I just wanted to feel safer, I wasn't quite as comfortable in really understanding where that gut feeling comes in or why it's being triggered, then I would probably just stick with the Yu Darvish. He should be fine. He should hit his floor. He should be great. I'm just trying to buy up some bats. Bats are fluky. In cash game, we don't rely on bats because bats, they come and go. The pitcher is going to throw the ball 70 to 100 times a night. He's going to control his own destiny with 70 to 100 opportunities to score points. Whereas the bat, what's the guy going to swing 7 times tonight? Way, way, way more volatile. Way, way, way more upside, but way, way, way more volatile. You don't want to play volatility in a cash game. You want to play steady Eddie. You want to play consistency. You want to play with what you can control and what you can predict. You cannot predict bats. Not with any kind of certainty for one given night. Doesn't work. But I'm going to come down here. I'm going to see catchers, not really a thing. I'm going to look, okay, I've got a couple of guys, 34 and 4,100, and Mancini and Olsen. These are your chalk game bats at pitcher. Depending on how much money you want to save, you might drop a little bit to a Nate Lau if you want to save a little bit of cash, but that's about it. You come up here at second base, you'd probably want to play some Altuve, even as expensive as he is. Yes, an India pivot makes some sense in a cash game situation if you're pivoting up to a Darvish and Altuve's unaffordable, or you're going to come down here and take the more expensive Matt Olson because you like Oakland tonight or whatever. But Altuve is probably the first guy I'm starting with out of all of these guys who will make it work because the ownership gap is there, the price gap is there, and a lot of people might bail and go cheap, and I'm going to be right here. He's a very consistent player. He's more consistent than these guys. Suarez, no real edge here over J-Ram or Donaldson. So pick your poison. You might want to stick down here to the same price point. Take a dot, fine. Even Escobar's okay. These guys are all going to be kind of mixed and matched. So I won't even build my third baseman yet. I'm going to start with second base, and then I'll probably come back and grab a pitcher, and then I might look at something else. There's another big gap. So Correa and Altuve are going to be key tonight. They're going to be very expensive. That probably forces me down into a Urias or a Montas or something like that. Maybe even a Miley. It's dumb in cash games to play those guys, but I already showed you the matchup might let it work. The matchup might let it work. I can always find value in the outfield. There, Chas McCormick, 31%, 2,400, easy to hide within the chalk there. Come down here to Aquino, 22%, 2,100. I can hide within the chalk there. Avisel Garcia, I can hide within some ownership here at 2,600. I got 3 sub 3K bats. That'll get me up to Altuve, probably to Correa, probably to a Mancini or an Olsen, and then I'm debating where my pitcher is. And then I'm going to, because these guys are just easy peasy. These guys are going to cost a little bit, but that's basically where you're going to end up. You're not going to worry about stacking. You're not going to worry about correlating points. You're building a cash game lineup. If you're building a cash game lineup, you're going to take these high-owned players, you're going to mix and match a little bit, and what I've told my guys in the past is build the highest ownership you can. Use these guys. Build them as high as you can. I've shown tricks in using the optimizer to do so. I've shown tricks to our other guys through screenshots and through a lot of conversations and how to build. A lot of guys are having a lot of success doing it this way. I've got one other pivot that I'll keep strictly VIP. And if you want to know that, you're going to come inside, you're going to ask me that question. It's really, really simple, and it's just one slight little tweak that's going to get you over that big glom of cash game hump that everybody eating up all of this ownership is going to be stuck on the same group of players. And I've got one little way to get you a smidge different and still use these high-owned players to set yourself apart. And it gets you over that meat of that bell curve and gets you into the higher side of the cash games and probably gets you into those triple ups as well. It's what I do. I build ladders, I build cash games, I build fundamentally sound lineups, and I teach you how to do the same thing. If that interests you, you need to come talk to me inside as a VIP, dfsarmy.com. Tell them Chop sent you. Coupon code CHOP for that 10% savings. Like and subscribe to the video while you're down there. And we'll talk to you on Tuesday. This is Monday, June 21st. MLB made easy. Can't talk about it any simpler than we just did. Peace out, homies. Talk to you tomorrow.